You eat reasonably well. You've cut back on fried food, you take your vitamins, maybe you even follow a lot of the standard advice: eat your vegetables, drink your water, watch your salt. And yet something still feels off. You're more tired than you think you should be. Food doesn't taste quite like it used to. Your blood work comes back with a number that surprises you, even though you thought you were doing everything right. Here's the truth. Most nutrition advice for seniors stops at the obvious stuff. But there are quieter, sneakier things happening inside your body after 60, changes in digestion, in medications, in your sense of taste, that silently work against you, no matter how well you think you're eating. And almost nobody explains them clearly. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 of these hidden nutrition traps, things your body is dealing with that most people, and honestly most quick doctor visits, never fully unpack. Ranked from the one worth knowing to the one I consider the single biggest blind spot for people over 60. Number 1 is going to reframe something you've probably been thinking about completely backwards your whole life. So stay with me for that one. Quick note before we start. This is general nutrition education, not medical advice. Several of these topics involve medications and lab values, so please bring these questions directly to your doctor or pharmacist, who can look at your specific situation. All right, let's get into what's really going on. And tell me in the comments, has your sense of taste or your appetite changed over the last several years? You might be surprised how many people relate. I read every comment. Let's start with number 7, something most people have never connected to their meals at all. Coming in at number 7 is something almost nobody talks about. The order you eat the food on your plate can change how your blood sugar responds to the entire meal, even if the meal itself doesn't change at all. Here's why this matters. When you eat carbohydrates first, like bread, rice, or potatoes on an empty stomach, your blood sugar tends to rise faster and higher. But when you eat vegetables and protein first, and save the starchy carbohydrate for last, research on meal sequencing suggests the same meal can produce a noticeably gentler, steadier blood sugar rise. This matters more with age, because the body tends to handle blood sugar less efficiently over time, even in people who aren't diabetic. Here's how to use this. At your next meal, simply eat your vegetables and your protein, the chicken, the fish, the beans, first. Then eat your starch, like the rice, potatoes, or bread, in the final few bites. That's the whole change. Nothing added, nothing removed, just reordered. A helpful tip. This is especially useful at meals that are heavier in refined carbohydrates, like pasta or white rice. If a meal is already mostly vegetables and protein, this trick matters much less. This is worth knowing for anyone who's noticed an energy crash an hour or two after meals, or who's watching their blood sugar numbers closely. A small reorder, a real difference. Now, number 6, something about protein that eat more protein advice completely leaves out. Number 6 is understanding that your muscles need a certain minimum amount of protein in one sitting to actually respond and rebuild. A small amount spread too thin doesn't do the job the way people assume. Here's why this is so often missed. Nutrition science points to something researchers call an anabolic threshold. Roughly speaking, your muscles need a solid, concentrated amount of protein in a single meal, not just a token amount, to meaningfully trigger muscle repair. And to make it harder, research suggests that as we age, muscles become somewhat less responsive to protein than they were decades earlier, sometimes described as anabolic resistance, meaning older adults may need a bit more protein per meal than a younger person to get the same muscle-building signal. A boiled egg at breakfast and a spoon of peanut butter at lunch might look like protein throughout the day on paper, but neither one may be enough, on its own, to really do the job. Here's how to use this. Instead of sprinkling small amounts of protein across the day, aim for a solid, concentrated serving at 2 or 3 meals. Think a full portion of fish, chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, or legumes, roughly the size of your palm or larger, not just a garnish amount. A helpful tip. If a meal feels protein light, it's often more useful to boost that one meal properly than to add a tiny protein snack somewhere else in the day. This matters most for anyone who's been told to eat more protein but hasn't felt or seen a difference. The issue may not be how often, but how much at once. Now, number 5, and this one explains a deficiency almost nobody gets tested for. Number 5 is something that affects digestion far more than most people realize. Stomach acid production commonly declines with age, and that quietly changes how well your body absorbs certain nutrients. Here's why this deserves real attention. Stomach acid isn't just for digesting food. It's essential for releasing vitamin B12 from protein and helping your body absorb it, along with calcium, iron, and magnesium. As stomach acid naturally decreases with age, a condition sometimes called atrophic gastritis, and it's also further reduced by long-term use of common acid-reducing medications. Absorption of these nutrients can quietly drop, even if you're eating plenty of B12-rich food. Low B12 can show up as fatigue, memory fog, or tingling in the hands and feet, symptoms that get written off as just getting older far too often. Here's how to use this. If you've been on an acid-reducing medication for a long time, or you have ongoing digestive symptoms, ask your doctor specifically about checking your B12 and vitamin D levels. It's a simple blood test that's rarely ordered unless someone asks. Foods alone may not be enough if absorption itself is the problem, in which case a specific type of B12 supplement your doctor recommends may work better than food sources. A helpful tip: B12 from fortified foods and supplements is generally easier for your body to absorb than B12 from meat when stomach acid is low, since it doesn't need to be released from protein first. This is essential for anyone dealing with unexplained fatigue, brain fog, or tingling sensations that haven't been fully explained yet. Sometimes the answer isn't more of the right food. It's asking whether your body can actually absorb what you're already eating. If this is new information for you, go ahead and like this video. It helps more people come across it. Now, number 4, and this one involves your medicine cabinet. Number 4 is one of the biggest blind spots in senior nutrition. Several very common medications quietly deplete specific nutrients over time, and almost nobody connects the dots. Here's why this matters so much. Long-term use of certain diuretics, commonly prescribed for blood pressure, can lower your body's potassium and magnesium. Metformin, one of the most common medications for blood sugar, is well documented to reduce B12 absorption over years of use. Long-term acid reducers, as we just discussed, can lower B12, calcium, and magnesium further. None of this means the medication is wrong for you. These are often necessary, important medications, but it does mean your nutrient needs may be quietly different than someone not taking them, and standard nutrition advice doesn't usually account for that. Here's how to use this. Make a simple list of your regular medications and, at your next appointment, ask your doctor or pharmacist directly, does anything I'm taking affect my nutrient levels, and should I be monitoring or supplementing anything because of it? This is a question pharmacists are specifically trained to answer well, and it's one that's rarely asked. A helpful tip: never start or adjust a supplement on your own to counteract a medication. Some combinations interact in the opposite direction. This is specifically about asking a professional to check, not self-treating. This is critical for anyone on long-term medication for blood pressure, blood sugar, acid reflux, or cholesterol, which realistically is a huge number of people over 60. Your prescriptions and your plate are more connected than most conversations ever acknowledge. Now, number 3, something that quietly changes how food itself tastes to you. Number 3 is something rarely discussed but hugely important. Your sense of taste and smell can genuinely change with age, and it can be part of why appetite fades or food feels less enjoyable, not simply a matter of willpower or lack of hunger. Here's why this matters. Taste buds naturally decline in number and sensitivity over the decades, and a decrease in zinc, a mineral that plays a direct role in taste perception, can make this even more pronounced. Some medications also dull taste and smell as a side effect. The result is that food can start to taste flatter or blander than it used to, which quietly leads to eating less, especially of foods that now taste unsatisfying, even though the nutritional need for those foods hasn't gone away at all. Here's how to use this. Lean more heavily into flavor boosting, not salt necessarily, but acidity and aromatics. A squeeze of lemon, fresh herbs, garlic, a bit of vinegar, or warming spices like cinnamon and ginger can make food taste more vivid again without relying on excess salt or sugar. Include zinc-rich foods regularly, like meat, poultry, beans, and nuts. And if a strong appetite change or taste loss appears suddenly, mention it to your doctor, since it's occasionally tied to a medication or a nutrient gap worth checking. A helpful tip: temperature affects flavor too. Food served slightly warmer than lukewarm generally tastes more flavorful than food eaten cold or barely warm. This is deeply relevant for anyone who's noticed food just doesn't taste like it used to, or who's quietly eating less because meals feel less satisfying. It's not just in your head, and it's not just about willpower. If you're finding this helpful, this is a great moment to subscribe. I dig into these lesser-known angles on senior health regularly. Now, number 2, something about your gut most people never think about after childhood. Number 2 is your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, and the fact that its diversity tends to shrink with age unless you actively feed it a wide variety of fibers, not just one probiotic food eaten on repeat. Here's why this is so important. A more diverse gut microbiome has been associated with better digestion, a steadier immune response, and even mood and cognitive health in ongoing research. It's a much bigger player in overall health than most people assume. But here's the part that surprises people. Eating the same healthy yogurt every single day, while good, only feeds a narrow slice of the bacteria that could be living in your gut. Diversity of fiber and fermented foods, not repetition of just one, is what actually broadens that internal ecosystem. Here's how to use this. Rotate through different fermented foods across your week instead of just one. Yogurt one day, kefir another, sauerkraut or kimchi with a meal, a bit of miso in soup. Combine this with a wide variety of plant fibers. Since different plant fibers feed different bacterial species, beans one day, oats another, a variety of vegetables and fruits across the week, rather than the same 2 or 3 on repeat. A helpful tip: introduce new fermented foods slowly and in small amounts at first, since a sudden large amount can cause temporary bloating while your gut adjusts. This matters for anyone dealing with unpredictable digestion, frequent colds, or simply wanting to support their body's internal defenses in a way that goes beyond just eat yogurt. And now, the moment we've been building toward. Number 1. The blind spot I consider the most important on this entire list. Here it is. Number 1, and if you take only one thing from this video, let it be this. Your body weight, or even looking thin, can completely hide a serious, ongoing loss of muscle, something researchers sometimes call sarcopenic obesity, or what people informally call being skinny fat. The number on the scale can be reassuring you, while something important is quietly slipping away. Here's why this reframes everything. Many people over 60 focus almost entirely on not gaining weight, or even feel proud of losing a few pounds without trying. But weight loss with age is very often not fat, it's muscle. You can be a completely normal, even healthy-looking weight and still be dangerously low in muscle mass, which is what actually protects your strength, your balance, your metabolism, and your ability to recover from illness or a hospital stay. The scale cannot tell the difference between losing fat and losing muscle, but your body absolutely can tell, and it pays the price either way. Here's how to use this. Stop treating the scale number as the main measure of your health. Instead, pay attention to functional signs. Can you get up from a low chair without using your hands? Can you carry groceries up a flight of stairs without stopping? Is your grip noticeably weaker, opening jars than it used to be? These are far more meaningful indicators of muscle health than weight alone. And critically, this cannot be fixed by nutrition alone. The concentrated protein servings from earlier on this list only work when paired with some form of regular resistance or strength-based movement, even something as simple as bodyweight exercises or resistance bands. Food gives the muscle what it needs to rebuild. Movement is what tells it to actually rebuild. A helpful tip, if you have access to one, a simple grip strength test or a body composition scan at a doctor's office can give you a real number to track over time, far more useful than the bathroom scale alone. This final point is the one I want to stick with you the most. Don't let a good number on the scale convince you that everything is fine underneath it. Muscle, not weight, is often the real story of aging well. So there you have it, 7 hidden nutrition traps that go well beyond the usual advice. Meal order and blood sugar, the protein threshold your muscles actually need, quietly declining stomach acid, and B12 absorption, medications that drain specific nutrients, changes in taste and appetite, the overlooked importance of gut bacteria diversity, and finally, the biggest blind spot of all, the scale hiding muscle loss behind a normal-looking number. Here's what I want you to remember most. None of this requires an overhaul of how you eat. It requires asking a few sharper questions about your medications, your lab work, your muscle, not just your weight, and making small, targeted adjustments where they actually matter. Pick just one of these 7 to look into this week, maybe asking your doctor about a B12 check, or reordering how you eat your next meal, and build from there. And please, bring these specific questions to your own doctor or pharmacist, especially anything involving medications, supplements, or lab values. What applies broadly isn't always right for your specific health history. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 surprised you the most? And have you ever had a doctor actually bring one of these up with you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If this video gave you something to think about, please give it a like, share it with someone who could use a deeper look at their nutrition, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Ask better questions, eat with intention, and take good care of yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.